Good evening, sisters and brothers. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with us for this webinar, Town Hall Contract, which we hope you will get all of the updates that you're waiting to hear from your negotiators. As you know, this is a trying time for all of us, and it's a trying time for each one of you on the workroom floor, and we really do appreciate you spending this time with us as we attempt to let you know what's going on as we attempt to negotiate a contract that's representative of the membership we represent. As we are making each presentation, we would ask that if you have questions, to please put them in the Q&A. You will probably get a response from our directors and or our president as we go through the process, but do not use the raise hand feature because no one is responding to that. Do not be afraid to put any question that you may have, but please make sure they're related to the negotiation of the present contract. With that, I'm proud to turn over the first speaker of this evening, the gentleman who always has his ear to the ground to hear everything that's going on, none other than our president, Mark Demestein.
Well, thank you so much, Sister Powell. Welcome and greetings, one and all. Thank you for joining us, APWU family. And we're looking forward, I'm speaking for the entire negotiating committee, looking forward to giving you an update, sharing where we're at in this process, and hearing from you as well through your questions. Before getting into the contract, I just want to share a few things. Number one, I and we hope you're well. We're still in the throes of a terrible pandemic. You and not just you, but your coworkers, your family, and your friends. We're talking to heroes tonight, the heroes that have been out there on the front lines, carrying out a mission, binding the country together at a time where maybe the country needed us the most. Essential, dedicated, and seeing it through. So a salute to all of you, but we do want you to remain vigilant. We want you to wear your masks. We recommend and encourage vaccination. We think that the science says that it's right, that it helps cut down on the severity of the disease, the death associated with the disease. And it's not just a question of taking care of ourselves, it's taking care of our loved ones, taking care of our coworkers, and taking care of others. So let me get into the main subject at hand, which is contract negotiations. As I'm sure most of you know, if not all of you, our contract expires on September 20th. So we're just about a month out. We've been engaged in the process of negotiating with management for the last 2 months, so we're 2/3 of the way through. The process started long before that, as we did a lot of preparation and a lot of work to get ready. Your core negotiating committee, and we're all honored, is myself as the lead negotiator, Sister Debbie Zaretti and Sister Liz Powell, Brother Vance Zimmerman, our Vice President, Sister Debbie Zaretti, our Secretary Treasurer, Liz Powell, our Industrial Relations Director, Brother Vance Zimmerman, who's also our Chief Spokesperson, has really led us in this preparation stage and planning stage over the last year, and the 4 craft directors, the 4 division directors, Brother Lamont Brooks of the Clerk Craft, Brother Mike Foster, Motor Vehicle, Brother Igbalogan of Maintenance, and Brother Stephen Brooks of Support Services. We're working hard. We're rowing together. We're going to have plenty of spirited discussions, which you need, we want. But at the end of the day, we're working towards a positive new contract that serves our members and really serves the public and certainly serves our families and communities. Let me just talk about, in broad stroke, collective bargaining a little bit. Where did it come from? You know, what is it? Where did it come from? And maybe what it's not a little bit. So collective bargaining is a pretty simple concept. The dictionary defines it very simply. It's negotiations between union and management over wages, hours, and working conditions. Negotiations. Where did it come from? In our world, it came from the Great Postal Strike of 1970, an unlawful militant strike that our forefathers and foremothers put everything on the line. And the main accomplishment, the main specific accomplishment of the strike was the right to collectively bargain over wages and benefits. That torch has been passed to us. We're the recipients of those struggles. And because of that strike, that's why we have rights as postal workers that our brothers and sisters in the federal workforce do not have. True collective bargaining rights. Now, what is it not? Collective bargaining is not a magic wand. It's not a one-way street. It's not us negotiating with ourselves. It's a negotiation process whose outcome largely depends on the power and leverage we bring to the bargaining table. And our power starts with you, that we're union, that we pay dues. We have 200,000 members. And that's what gives us our fundamental power at the table. But when we're sitting at the table, and we'll make the great arguments, we're prepared, we've debated, we are ready. But management has to know that we're at the table with all of you. And so that's where your role comes in. And we'll talk about that more later in this webinar as well. But exercising that power and leverage, whether it's through stickers, whether it's through informational pickets, whether it's through Union Gear Day, whether it's about signing up the non-members, whether it's about educating your co-workers on the issues. Because management needs to get the message that we're all united for a good contract. And sisters and brothers, if there was ever a moment, and we already have a good contract, we just want to constantly improve it. But if there was ever a moment that we've earned and deserve real improvements in our already existing good contract, look no further than your role as postal workers in this pandemic. Now, in broad stroke, what are we after? I call it protect and enhance. What do we mean? We want to protect the gains of the past, particularly those gains won through our collective action, starting with the Great Postal Strike and all the decades since. How many friends, neighbors, co-workers, workers, not co-workers as postal workers, but co-workers you've had in other situations, your own family members. How many people do you know that have no layoff protection after 6 years? Look what happened in the pandemic. 30, 40 million people were laid off and lost their jobs almost overnight. Those are gains that we are gonna and we have to protect. The 50-mile limit on excess. So people's lives are not completely disrupted. Nobody likes being excessed. But within 50 miles, nobody has to sell a home. Nobody has to pull kids out of school. Nobody has to separate because a spouse may have a job somewhere else that they can't leave. A full COLA. How many workers do you know have COLA at all? And by the way, we're the only postal union that has full COLA. And I know Brother Zimmerman will talk more about this during his report. And so many of the rights and benefits we often take for granted. Things like seniority and bidding that takes favoritism largely out of the workplace, and so on. Even the grievance procedure that we take for granted, that we can exercise our rights to protest and resolve problems. So, but we also don't want to just rest on the past. We want to protect the great gains, but then we want to enhance. Yes, we want good annual pay raises that increases the well-being of our families. We want to continue to bridge the gap between the two-tier career pay scales, pre-2010, post-2010. We made real progress last round of bargaining, where we were able to get back 2 of the 5 lower steps for grade 6 at the higher level 1 and grade 5. We want to go after the rest of them so that we bridge that gap. 2-tier wage systems, 3-tier wage systems just divide up the workforce. They're a race to the bottom. And from a union point of view, they're wrong. We're going to be working hard on that. We want to address the many concerns of our PTFs in terms of hours of work, in terms of who gets to do the work. We certainly want to uplift the career opportunities of our PSCs. So there are many, many areas that we want to continue to enhance to limit the ability of management to subcontract our work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a question of protecting, and it's a question of enhancing. So that's our general goals in these negotiations. Understand that a lot of what your bargaining team is facing is we're negotiating in many cases with an economic pie. Okay? But that economic pie, you have a say, and we all have a say together. Depending on how much power we exert, we have an impact on how big or small that pie is. And the bigger that pie is, the better contract this is going to be. So with that, I'll have some comments when I close. With that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Sister Powell.
Thank you, President Demestein. As I said earlier, APW family, if you have questions, make sure you put them in the Q&A, and we will make every effort to answer them prior to ending this town hall. And with that, I'll turn it over to our Executive Vice President, Debbie Zaretti, who will introduce our Director of Industrial Relations. Deb.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to have all of you on this late at night, 9 o'clock. Tour one's in and working hard, I'm sure. We just want to say thanks for coming on board and being concerned about the negotiations and wanting to learn more and to keep updated. The most important takeaway that you can do tonight at this town hall meeting is to know that we are really working hard for you. There is an awful lot going on here. We've been prepping for quite a while, and we want you to feel confident and secure that you've got the best of the best here at the negotiating table. So we're waiting for September 20th is when our contract expires. And I'm taken back every time because for 36 years, I've been on the workroom floor, and I remember the excitement of waiting to find out at midnight when our contract came through, whether we got a contract or we didn't, whether we were waiting until 1, 2, 3 in the morning to see if they were going to get a sign off. So it was very exciting, and I'd love to see a lot of you doing that as well. But it takes a lot of education because a lot of new people are on the floor and they don't really maybe understand a lot of what goes on with a contract and how important it is. So once this happens and September 20th comes up, we're hoping to have a contract. We really want to be able to have that opportunity to provide you a tentative agreement that you would be able to look at and vote on. And, that's democracy in play. So we're hoping for that, but it doesn't always happen. And as you know, last time we had to go through interest arbitration. So let's hope we don't. We're hoping that we're going to have a big success. The other thing I wanted to talk about is just that, we have a rank and file committee, and those members are members from locals across the country. And they too play a big part in our contract negotiations as far as being able to review it and decide whether it should go forward for you to vote on or whether we need to go back to the table. So you have a lot in play, and that's what a good union does. So I'm really excited about that. I just wanted to say a little bit about some of the meetings that we've been having. We have meetings every week. The best part about them is that before we put a proposal on the table, we all get an opportunity to debate and to talk about the issues, to make our feelings known, and to really have a part in the contract negotiations. The other part about the meetings that we have, we are also at the main table every week, whether it's us providing proposals or management providing proposals, and the research and that has been going on has been huge. So I hope that you feel confident. And we just wanted to make sure that you had this town hall meeting to at least get started. And then the real important part is to try to keep in touch with us. There's going to be an 800 number in September. I think it's September 7th. And you can call that number to get an update and get people excited on the workroom floor. Don't forget your retirees, your auxiliary, to help educate the other members about how important it is to have this contract and to be able to have a union and to be able to negotiate. So with that, and also don't forget we have the CAT team, and I'm sure Liz will give you some updates on that. The other thing that I wanted to just say was we did put a proposal on about consolidations, trying to get them stopped, to have a moratorium. So we hope that goes through. It's very important right now because we do have some facilities out there that have received impact statements and they're starting to go through the process. So we'd like to get them stopped if we could. And then with that, I just really want to introduce Vance Zimmerman. I want to say hats off to him because, he's helped pull everybody together. He's our chief spokesperson. And, I think he can give you a great overview of some of the things that we've been doing. So with that, Vance Zimmerman, take it on.
Thank you, Debbie, for those kind remarks. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you're at, brothers and sisters. Before we get into update on contract negotiations, I just want to take a minute to talk about COVID. It is on the upswing. OSHA and has recommended that everybody wear mask inside. The CDC is recommending that everybody, whether you're vaccinated or not, wear a mask inside. We encourage, the APW encourages you to wear mask on the workroom floor to protect you and your brothers and sisters. The uptick in the last 4 weeks, we're up 100%. We have over 7,000 people in the Postal Service that is currently quarantined. I'm personally vaccinated. I want to encourage the members to be vaccinated, especially now that some of the vaccinations are out of the emergency stage, the Pfizer. There's a couple of key stats I want to give you. You're 18 times more likely to be hospitalized if you get the COVID Delta variant if you haven't been vaccinated. Right now, 98% of the cases of COVID are the Delta variant. So again, I want to reemphasize, I encourage the DIR in charge of safety that you wear your mask at work and get vaccinated. I want to just thank everybody and say how proud I am to be working together with you to get this contract, as you're the essential workers that have tied this community across the country together. I want to talk a little bit about, I frequently hear, why does it take so long to get a contract, or why did these negotiations take so long? First of all, the negotiations that we're all a part of, the people on this committee, are your national officers and what you're doing on the workroom floor. The APWU contract is being negotiated, the largest single contract, union contract in 2021. So you're part of a contract to not protect the APW workers and their wages and benefits and working conditions, but also the union movement as a whole. Just in general, just to give you a little flavor of how big the contract is for the APWU. Just our general wage increases and our COLA increases over the 2018 to 2021 contract comes to $3.7 billion. 1/10 of 1% of a raise. So not a 1% raise, but 1/10 of a 1% raise equates over a 3-year contract of $42 million. So just one single 1% raise would be $420 million. Coming up, as Mark mentioned, we're the only postal union that has full COLA for all the members, whether you're a level 4 FF or 11P, then you get the same COLA. And effective August 28th, it comes in your check September 17th, all our career members will get a COLA raise of $1,935. Our COLA raises equal $2,351 for all career employees, which the median raise already before we even negotiate for a general increase in November is our members have got a 3.7% raise just on COLA alone. This equates 93 cents for the regular career employees and 97 cents for the PTFs. Our PSEs do not get COLA, but then when we get a general increase, they get normally a 1% extra. And then we do negotiate extra pay raises, such as in May for an additional 20 cents. So I want to address one of the questions that came up before I go on a little bit. The first question that popped up in the Q&A was, what happens if we don't have a contract on September 20th? Expires? Are we out of work? And as Debbie made mention, we need to educate the members on the floor about how our process works and sort of how the past has worked, therefore, in the future. Our grievance procedure is there. We continue to work. Our discipline procedure is there. Everything is intact with the acceptance. We just don't get any raises or COLAs. And the no layoff clause for 6 years or left expires on September 20th while we're negotiating. Other than that, every part of the contract is in effect. So I think that was important to point out. We have met starting negotiations 98 days out of our contract expiring. We met with the Postal Service at the main table, the whole core committee, every week. For instance, this week, we met earlier today, started early this morning at 10 o'clock, so 11 hours ago. We met with management for 2.5 hours at the main table. I also meet with management for several hours a week, once or twice a week on the contract. Your craft officers will report about their meetings. We've passed 94 proposals. 44 of them are of the general articles and 50 of them are our craft articles. We won't get into the specifics because as this is live streamed, et cetera, I guarantee you that management will be watching it on YouTube, et cetera. So we can only talk in generalities. I can tell you of the proposals that have been put forward, the general proposals, it's the proposals to get a better working environment, a better life and work balance. We will be submitting our financial proposals that are for better pay and benefits, more safety, protection of the no layoff clause, more job security. Our general proposals address concerns about PSEs, PTF, and career employees. We've met with the rank and file several times. We've met with the NEB, which is the National Executive Board, several times to update them. And we've also met with the NEC, which is every national officer, including the MBAs, to update them. Again, we'll be locking down on September 6th, which means the core committee and the assistant craft directors will be going into a hotel with management, and from early to late at night, we will be meeting with management for a whole week solid, starting on a Tuesday morning and ending on that Sunday morning. I can't tell you we'll be negotiating 24 hours around the clock, but sometimes those negotiations go late into the evening. So I'm proud to say that we're working hard. We're working together. I'm proud to be part of this core committee representing the essential workers that you are, because you've been working hard you always work hard, but for the last 18 months, you have been standing out and making the APWU shine. And so I just want to say how proud I am to be your industrial relations director and working with you on your behalf. And with that, I will pass it back to Secretary Treasurer Liz Powell.
Thank you, Brother Vance. And we appreciate everything you're doing to make this one of the best negotiating sessions we've had. And speaking of our workers who are essential and we consider to be frontline workers, we have a representative that will be accepting an award on September the 29th on behalf of every postal employee we have, represented by the American Postal Workers Union, as being recognized as frontline essential workers. Could not have done it without each of you. And we thank all of you and we salute you for whatever you do. Next, I'm going to introduce to you our 4 division directors. They will speak one right after the other. I will start with Brother Mike Foster, who's the Director of Motor Vehicle Services, followed by Igbalogan, who's the Director of the Maintenance Division. And then we have Brother Lamont Brooks, who's Director of the Clerk Division. And last but not least, we have Brother Steve Brooks, who's Director of Support Services. So with that, Michael, if you will start us over, and sisters and brothers, please, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A so we will have an opportunity to respond. Michael?
Thank you so much, Sister Paul. And I want to bring greetings to each and every member of the American Postal Workers Union that is online, each of the ones that's watching this on YouTube, and each one of us that are participating in this essential part of our bargaining and our relationship with the Postal Service. And I bring you greetings from the Motor Vehicle Service Division, Assistant Director Ken Prince, and all of the Motor Vehicle Service Council, the NBAs who fight very hard on a regular basis for the rights and protection of the membership. Being on the core negotiating committee is a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous honor. To be able to help mold and shape the lives of so many postal members, so many postal family members, and as Vance was just saying, we're leading the fight for the entire labor unions and the labor movement this year by being the largest industrial union that's negotiating this year. We're leading the fight for other unions and other industries that don't have the same privileges that we have fought and negotiated for. But it is a tremendous responsibility, and we don't take it lightly. It's just invigorating to come to these types of meetings and hear the other officers give their reports on what they're doing also, and put it together with what the Motor Vehicle Division is doing. It energizes us to continue this fight, to continue to try to make the best working conditions and the best living that we can possibly make for each and every member of the APWU. It is a tremendous task. The Postal Service is certainly a formidable opponent. They come in with their agenda and they have marching orders from up on top, and they come in and they're steadfast many times in their demands to give back many of the benefits that this union has achieved in the last 50 years. They want to take those benefits back without any type of trade-off. They just want to take them back. And that's the job of the union, is to make the company say yes when they want to say no. That's our challenge. That's our marching orders. That's our commitment to you, is that we're going to do the best job that we possibly can in order to make your life better, to make your working conditions on that workroom floor better, and to make this postal job, these postal jobs better for generations to come. I was sharing on the earlier meeting that I have my youngest son's name is Brandon, and he is a clerk, and he works in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And I'm so proud that he has become a union steward. And, you know, he's been to college, so he certainly could have gone the path of management, but he certainly decided to be a steward. And he's always pressing me as to what are you going to do? What are you going to get? What are you going to be able to achieve so that our lives are better? And, you know, even though I've always had that personal commitment to the motor vehicle craft and also to the members of the APWU, is that we're still working very diligently to try to improve your lives and to make you and your family to be solidly middle-class citizens. What we're doing, we have submitted over 12 proposals during negotiations. We're meeting every week, interacting with management. We're also discussing other issues that are important to the craft. The DOS 110 award that put over 1 million work hours a year into the craft and has caused the motor vehicle craft to grow exponentially because of this award, and that the Postal Service still has not fully implemented this award. So that is an issue that we're continuing to address. And one of the reasons is that they're having problems hiring and retaining PVS operators. So it's obvious to the union is that the Postal Service should have been done something to take the initiative to make the job more attractive to recruit and retain employees. But that's something that the union is going to move forward with during these negotiations, and hopefully we'll have some success. We're also concentrating and focusing in on training, especially in the VMF. And the lack of training means is that a lot of that work that our employees who are overly qualified should be able to do with the proper amount of training, but the Postal Service has pretty much abandoned training for the VMF employees, and a lot of that work is going out the door as opposed to being able to be performed in-house. You know, these are major tools and major components that the motor vehicle craft needs to be able to stay strong and viable in the Postal Service as we move forward. It is a utmost challenge, and we're being joined by Southeast Subregion NBA Bruce Amy, Dave Cook, the Executive Vice President of the St. Paul, Minnesota local, and Brother Javier Piñeres, who had retired, but still has been willing to come on and assist and join us in this struggle. It's a struggle, but it's worth this fight. It is definitely worth the job that we're supposed to be doing. And I'm proud to be part of this core team. We're all on the same page. We know what we're here for and the reason that we're supposed to be doing it. We're working very hard together, and it's been an honor and a privilege to serve you. And as I close the Motor Vehicle Directors Conference, as I have for so many years in my report, I say that it's been an honor and a privilege to serve, and I look forward to the challenges to come. And Liz, I didn't talk so much, I forgot who I'm supposed to be introducing.
Director Igbalogan.
Okay. It is my great pleasure to introduce the Director of the Maintenance Division, Director APWU Igbalogan. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Foster. Thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, good evening. It's been a long day for all of us. I think our day started like at 10 a.m. And I'm just, like I said earlier, I'm zoomed out. Since you guys are the last one today, I think you're going to get the best presentation. Everyone is obviously presentation. My name is Igbalogan. I'm your Maintenance Division Director in Washington, D.C. And for those who cannot pronounce my first name, you can call me Director Igbalogan. That's where that came from. I bring you greetings from Washington, D.C., from Terry B. Martinez and Jimmy Weldon, Assistant Director, who announced his retirement last Friday. Jimmy Weldon has been with us in D.C. for about 3 years. We wish him and his family a great, joyful, long retirement. And we will miss him. And I just want to let you know, we also brought in 2 MBA to join our team. We have a brother Dave Zanaki from the Northeast region and brother Jason Treyer, MBA from Eastern region. They have been participating since June, and they have been very, very instrumental as we move forward. We have been meeting with the Postal Service weekly. We have 4 of us, and they have 6 of them. And, I guess that's a balance right there. We'll be meeting weekly, and I personally was meeting with a gentleman named Eric Enninger. He was in charge of NST, and that was our Wednesday meeting. And we have been having so many Zoom meetings, sometimes you can just almost forget some of the meetings. But the maintenance table, we have submitted 14 proposals. Some of them were repeat proposals for things that we did not get the last time. And the Postal Service submitted 8 proposals. And again, I will briefly discuss some of the proposals without going into detail. Well, one of the issues that we were facing, like the motor vehicles also mentioned, is training. How do we get our employee to return to Oklahoma for training? It's a Janjaman's task, because a lot of people don't want to go because of COVID. A lot of people don't want to go for financial reason or babysitting. So we're looking for incentive to get our people to return and to continue to go to Oklahoma. And I think we're working on something in that regards. The elimination of 204B in our craft, it was on our chief demand that would be, for lack of a better word, when I use the word unachieved demand, it's a demand that we put in that we are yet to achieve. No, I won't quantify as an unachieved demand. But it's something that we've been trying to work on. And again, it's something that came from the field. I'm sure it's going to come in one form or fashion. If you eliminate 204B, then somebody has to do 204B. So we'll see how that works out. Again, I've been seeing some of your emails, some of the posting that some of you have been asking us, and it has to do with MS-47. What are we doing with MS-47? Some people even send me an email today with a colorful language, and I take it in kind. Say, when is the Postal Service going to get rid of this SH, the rest of the letters that goes with that. I don't use foul language. But basically, we are working on it. We are taking it very, very serious. You and I know CTC is not working. You cannot have a team of 1 at a small office, an office of 1. How do you have a restroom specialist, light duty specialist, and vacuum specialist, the same one person being 4 specialists? It's not working, and maybe the Postal Service are getting closer to a Jesus moment. We are talking. It's very productive and very, excited with the conversation. We'll see where it takes us. We're also considering some of their forgotten team, the silent NST. They do their work in silence, and nobody's usually think about them. But we are looking at telecommuting to see how that will fashion, since they're already telecommuting anyway. This group of employees are over 60 years old. They go to a post office where they're not really part of the plant. They give them a little office and they cover a geographical area. They can do that from any location, and they have done it from any location. Sometimes they dispatch them during Christmas to several locations. So we're exploring that possibility. I'm sure it's a tough ask, but with the environment of COVID environment, it's the right time to ask. The Postal Service, of course, they want to expand subcontracting. They have a proposal in that regard. We want to contain additional subcontracting. And the Postal Service also are interested in some consolidation of some occupational group jobs. Some of those we are interested in, some we are less interested in. Again, we are at the table right now, and we have met twice face-to-face and several times over Zoom. So again, I'm very excited. I think, I'm looking forward to negotiate a contract, and I'm looking forward to the lockdown where we can face each other, and your committee are working hard day and night, as you can see. Brothers and sisters, our goal is very simple. We will protect APWU collective bargaining against all enemies, foreign or domestic. Thank you very much. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to the Clerk Director, Brother Lamont Brooks. Please welcome him.
Thank you, Brother Balogun. It's my great pleasure on behalf of the Clerk Division, my assistant directors, Lynn Pallis-Barber, Sam Lesley, and the 40 MBAs that work on your behalf. First of all, this is the third presentation, and I guess each one of them gets more, you get more deeper with it, and you have more compassion as you hear the questions. I see some of the questions and some of your concerns, but we want you to fully understand. We hear you. We hear you loud and clear. And it's not just about negotiations. I want everyone to understand. We're still in contract compliance. So while we would like to negotiate and get the language to support our position, to work on your behalf, we still have an obligation to enforce the contract. So I'm saying all this because I want you to know that APWU hear your concerns and we see your concerns. We visit post office. We see the offices where there's understaffing. We're out in the field. We're coming into these offices. We see the work at the plant. We see the staffing on the machines. We see where employees can't get a day off. Believe me, we hear you and we feel for you. And we're doing everything we can to address your concerns. Now, from the position of the clerk craft, so just so you know how long we've been working at this, going back since February, when we knew we didn't have a national convention and we didn't have an all-craft conference, all the NBAs have been tasked in the clerk division to go back and review all your grievances during this past contract. And we reviewed those grievances to hear your concerns. Not only did we go through the grievances, I individually and my assistant directors, we literally went through our emails to see what the concerns were over the past year. We went back through the resolution book, both at the last national convention and the all-craft conference. We reviewed the grievance procedure. We then had a meeting with all the NBAs because we wanted everybody involved and we wanted a direct link to the membership so we knew what those issues were. We then took the contract and broke the contract down into parts. We had Article 37. We had all the other articles related to the clerk division. We reviewed all the MOUs in the back of the contract. We then reviewed all the current step 4s that was already in place to see how we could improve it and make it better. With all that being said, all the NBAs came together, did their own individual reviews. We then broke up into subcommittees where we tasked NBAs to lead the group of NBAs, to lead our concerns, even to the point of writing proposals. We wrote up over 45, I think it was 46 to be exact, proposals directly related to the clerk division. And to make sure we had people that was involved and heard your concerns, we reached out and grabbed NBAs, outspoken NBAs, very progressive NBAs that will be a part of negotiations at the headquarters level when we met with the Postal Service. Now, just so you know they're involved, we have Pete Karate, the NBA out of the New York region, that's on this negotiation on your behalf. We had Robert Romanowski, the NBA out of the Philadelphia region. We have NBA Jim DeMauro out of the Southern region represent you. We have Dan Skimp, an NBA representing you because he's more tuned for small offices. While he does all of them, we know he's very versed in small offices. We have Vicky Carrios out of the Denver region that's very proactive. And then we have Christine Pruitt, who was a part of the last 2 negotiations, and she's no longer a national officer. We brought her back. And just to show you how open we were, this was approved by all the assistant directors. So this is not a partisan group. This is a group that's looking out for the best interest of the people we represent. No politics involved. Now, with that being said, this committee that I'm a part of, there's no politics here. And as everybody know, I'm very outspoken as an individual. In fact, I'll probably get in trouble with my mouth. I'm quick to say if I don't like something. And I agree, it's just my opinion, but I'm very outspoken. But while I can be outspoken when it's wrong, I'm going to give credit when it's right. And this negotiations, and I've been involved in negotiations going all the way back to 2006. This is the most seamless working together group I've been a part of. And what I mean by this, as it relates to negotiation, the core articles, everybody on the core committee has been involved. There have been very spirited debates. And believe me when I say spirited debates. And we all understand. We're all working together for a common goal, and we're all still individual in what our beliefs are and what we are good, what's good for the membership. It's our goal to bring forward a good contract that can be approved by the rank and file and to be sent out to you all for ratification. That's our number one goal, because you've tasked us with securing a contract. Anything against that individual thing, is not good for the membership. It's important to also realize if it's not good for the membership, and if we don't feel it's right, we're fully prepared to go to arbitration and try to secure a good contract. There's no fear here. I just want everybody to understand there's no fear here. But at the same time, we understand our job, that what we've been tasked with and what we're supposed to do. Now, what's been important for the clerk craft is important for you all to understand. We will not, and I will not, be a part of any negotiations that advance one group at the expense of another. It's our responsibility to advance PSEs, to advance PTFs, to advance the career, whether it be on the overtime side list, whether you're not on the overtime, because everyone has a goal and what they expect. But the number one goal is something is wrong when a PSE does not want to become career. That means we have to improve what we have for career. That's what that means. That means the opportunities, we have to do a better job at that. And here's what I can safely tell you. We have resolutions out there to improve the work for everyone. Now, there are some questions being asked, specific questions of what we're trying to do. And here's what I cannot say. I don't want to answer questions because here's some specific questions. I'm trying to answer your question indirectly. If there's something that you all want and we want and the Postal Service want, I'm not about to say it here and give up the leverage. That's all I'm trying to say to everybody. So if you see some questions, I typed answers, I thought about it, I took it down. I then typed it again. I thought about it and I took it down. I just want you to read between the lines. There's things you all want that we probably want, but that Postal Service want. In negotiations, you cannot play your hand and give the Postal Service what you want, because they're going to expect something from it. In other words, they're going to try to extract something from that to their benefit. And this is what Brother Igbalogan said, and he said it best. He said, I'm not going to negotiate in public. And that is a true statement. So with that being said, we're going to do everything we can to give you a good contract. And believe me, there's nothing you've said, no question you've asked that we are not considering. And with that, I ask that you continue to support the bargaining committee, Vance, Mark, Debbie, Liz, and your 4 directors, with the understanding we're going to do everything in our power to give you the best contract, because that's what we're here to do. Thank you. At this time, without further ado, I want to give you the Director of Support Services, none other than Director Stephen Brooks.
Thank you, fellow Brother Brooks. Greetings from the Support Services Division. The Support Services Division has two crafts in the main agreement. The Operating Services and Facilitate Services craft, which is the maintenance and custodial, basically, people out of headquarters facilities, namely LaFont Plaza and Merrifield, Virginia. With our bargaining team, I've got myself, Judy McCann, the MBA for Support Services, and for Article 40, I've got Aaron Brown. We've been working closely with him, and he's been working with his membership to come up with all of the things that they want addressed in Article 40 under this contract. So we've developed proposals surrounding those issues. We've developed 6 proposals for Article 40 and put those across, and management has put across 1 proposal under Article 40. We've been meeting at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, mostly by Zoom. We did do a week of face-to-face the end of July. And actually, I'm in Washington, D.C. right now. We're going to do more face-to-face and kind of a lockdown this week with management to try and address 40 and 41 issues in these negotiations. My Article 41 is called the Material Support Craft, and that is a facility down in Topeka, Kansas, and it's kind of a unique facility. It consists of 8 different buildings and several different job duties within each building. And so I've worked with Clint Holbert, who is the president of the local down there. And again, we've developed 7 proposals and put those across on the table and have had discussion, and management has put together no proposals. And I don't think we expect many more from them, but it's been the typical way that this group has worked with management. They wait till the last minute and they might throw a bunch of stuff out there that really isn't relevant just to have it out on the table, but that's how Postal Service negotiates. We have had good conversation to date with Postal Service. We're dealing with 2 labor specialists, 1 labor specialist out of headquarters, Dalton Grisham, and field labor relations, Mary Jo Hoggy. They seem receptive to what we're talking about. We've gone into good depth on the proposals that we've gone across, and I think both parties have a good understanding of where each party feels on these proposals. So, in negotiation, like it's been said with the other directors, is you don't want to play your hand, but this all kind of comes down to the last minute. You put it out there and you have discussion on it. And with postal management, you can't really get a feel for them where they're at until the very last minute. And then they're either yes, no, and they throw together a bunch of stuff and throw it at you as counter proposals. So, we're ready for that. I've been through this enough times. I know where they're coming from. But I can say that from our standpoint in Article 40 and 41, this management group that I'm dealing with has been more receptive than the other ones that I've dealt with in the last 2 or 3 negotiations I've done. So although, I'm feeling positive about that, I know that reality can be, this could take a 360-degree swing just like that. So like the other directors have said, we're prepared for this. We've been to this battle before, and we are out to get the best contract that we can for every APWU member out there. You guys deserve it. You've been essential employees. You've been on the front line, and we're here fighting for you, fighting for us, fighting for the labor movement, and we won't back down. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Liz.
Thank you, directors. Your reports were excellent. You all have done such a good job with your presentations. There are no questions in the Q&A. But before we wrap it up for this evening, I have to remind you that we have contract action teams in several locals across the country. They are prepared to distribute and work with any local that's necessary to make sure you're able to get the message out to the membership we represent. Viola Ward Diamond is the liaison to our 17 liaisons that have been appointed by President Demosthenes. I'm sure you've heard of cats. I'm sure you've heard of Annette Augustella's favorite song, Everybody Wants to Be a Cat. So if you're interested into the work for activism and want to be a part of the struggle to show the support to your national negotiators as they negotiate a contract that's been beneficial to everyone that we represent, wear your union gear every day if you possibly can. Your local has been furnished with wristbands, with buttons, with stickers. Some of you have been sent table runners and a lot of other goodies. Make sure to send those pictures to us so that we can put it on our website showing that you are in support. It is a very important time to the American Postal Workers Union. Not only do we have a contract and the struggle of negotiating one, we seem to be dealing with a pandemic that refuses to go away. It goes, it comes, and somehow or another, it continues to stay with us. You all got to be careful. You have to be safe. Keep your families as safe as possible. Make sure you do the things necessary. Make sure that you wear your mask, wash your hands, do whatever it is that you need to do. I'm vaccinated, and I'm proud of the fact that I am. Now I got to wonder not when I'm going to get that third one. I need a booster. It reminds me of when I was 6 years old. You had to go to the doctor to get your booster shots. It's like karma. Everything goes around, comes around. But I thank you, sisters and brothers, for everything that you do on a daily basis. I said earlier on one of the other nights, without you, there would be no us. You are our backbone. You are our strength. You are what we fight for every day. As I turn this back over to President Demosthenes to close out, due to the lateness of the hour, you all continue to be safe. In and all questions, you can be directed to us at nccc@apw.org. If any of you out there would like to establish a CAT committee, you can also send that information to ncc@apw.org. We will get answers back to you. And with that, I give you back to our President, Mark Demosthenes, who will close us out for this evening. Thank you again, directors, for such excellent reports.
Well, thank you again, Liz, and thanks for you and your staff for setting up these 3 town halls. This is our effort to communicate with you, to listen to your questions, to read what's going on there. We're going to answer them. We have answered them sometimes one-on-one, but we very much appreciate your participation. Let me just raise one thing I want to emphasize and then go to some closing comments. Brother Zimmerman, doing a yeoman's job as our chief spokesperson, addressed what happens to our contractual rights if we don't have a new contract by September 20th. So you can rest assured that just about all our rights and benefits are in place. But right now, our primary focus is to reach a voluntary agreement. But rest assured, while we're doing that, we have a secondary level of preparing for interest arbitration. We can't get to interest arbitration if just out of the blue, right? We have to do a lot of prep. That's secondary right now. After September 20th, if we can't reach a principled voluntary agreement, then that's going to move up on our priorities. And we're going to be much more focused on the interest arbitration phase. We have been organizing and meeting with economists, other witnesses, including amongst our own workforce, on how to prepare the best case for interest arbitration if we end up there. It's far superior, and others have addressed it tonight, to have a voluntary agreement. We're in control of our own destiny. The committee can do our work, the rank and file can do their work, and you as members can do your work to decide in its final form whether it's an acceptable contract. If we don't get there and we're in interest arbitration, our future wages, benefits, working conditions become the decision of one person. So clearly that's high risk, not just for our side, but for management's side. So hopefully they'll see the wisdom of also hammering out a collective bargaining agreement that we can bring to the rank and file committee and we can bring to our members. So that's the emphasis that we got, but rest assured, as I said, that we're also working on the secondary level and stage of preparing for interest arbitration. I'll end my comments with a quote from A. Philip Randolph, the leader of the sleeping car porters and also a civil rights leader of much renown. And he said this: "At the banquet table of life, there are no reserved seats. You get what you can take, and you keep what you can hold." Sisters and brothers, we're going to do everything in our power together, I mean all of us, to hold the gains of the past. And we talked about that tonight. And we're going to do everything in our power to take more. You get what you can take. And that's our goal. It's in the interest of postal workers, our families, and our communities. And remember, I'm very proud to be your lead negotiator. And you heard from all the committee people how honored and proud they are. It's a great challenge, and it's also a great opportunity. But I'm not negotiating for you. I'm negotiating with you. And for that to be most effective, and for us to build our power and leverage that we have to bring to that bargaining table, management has to know that it's not just the 8 of us. They have to know it's the 200,000 of us. So keep sending those messages that we demand, we deserve, and we're going to demand again the best possible contract that we can get under these circumstances. For us to be negotiating together, we really need for you to do your part. We appreciate everything you're doing in the cause of serving the people of the country, in the cause of postal workers' rights, in the cause of labor rights, and with know, and we're going to continue to row together, carry on together, and victory will be ours. Thank you all.
Stay safe, everybody. And thanks to all.